They do not want Donald Trump in the White House again because he doesn't protect empire the way that the rest of them do. And that's it. He'll stick his foot in his mouth one time. It'll sound really bad. We're totally there for the oil. We got to go get the oil. Can't say that, Mr. President. It makes us look bad. Like we're the baddies, which we are. But we can't let the general public know that. That doesn't work. Can't have it. We totally got to take out these bad people. They're really terrible. We got to take them out. I'm the one who's going to pull people out of Afghanistan. It's a totally useless war. It's everything. And again, Donald Trump is kind of the equivalent of a broken clock. He's going to be right twice a day. The other times he's going to be wrong. But unfortunately, the times that he's right sometimes are of significant consequence to empire. And they cannot run that risk. They don't care how bad this looks. They don't care. That's the thing you have to remember. You've got people literally shining their AK-47s as we speak and will say, stand down and stand by if they even think about putting Trump in prison. And let me tell you, if they can convict him on that, it's not going to shock me if they try to throw him in prison. It's just not. Not anymore, because the empire is collapsing. It's really happening. We have gotten to the point where we're thinking to ourselves, no way, they wouldn't really go down that road, would they? They wouldn't really do this. What? Yes, they will. There's a reason why the cheating happens in broad daylight now. They don't care anymore. They do not care. Donald Trump only cares about himself, but once in a while, he says what should not be said, at least for the general public to hear. And as I said, the empire can't hear it because it's bad for business. They think this is good for business. I don't know where the hell they get that idea. It isn't. It's only dividing the country further. Like I said, there are things you could go after Trump on. You absolutely could, but they're not going to do it because the things that they would go after Trump on, they would have to go after everybody on. And they can't do that because the facade that this country is actually good, like Hillary Clinton said, America is already great. The economy's doing great. You're just stupid to not see that it is. The inflation isn't that bad. Even though you'll never be able to afford a home, even though you can't afford health care, even though your job pays you shit and you have no benefits and you can't travel, you can't do anything. But stick with us because we're definitely going to make it better. But Trump will make it worse. You know what? At this point, people don't fucking care anymore. I want to play a quick clip for you guys to get an even better idea of how this is all unfolded.
Said, no, my revenge is going to be success for America. You've just had this verdict. Yeah. Do you still feel the same? What's your thoughts on that?
I will tell you that he does look a little down in the dumps, but who wouldn't? Because he knows that they want to put him in prison. And he's like, they're really going to try this? Yeah, of course they are. Even to you, Donnie boy. It's totally wrong. Totally wrong. Keep it going.
A really tough question in one way, because these are bad people. These people are sick, and they do things that are so destructive. I mean, look what they did from the day I got there. And I don't know, a lot of people said, we have no choice but to elect Trump. Republicans, because he's the only one that can withstand this. Don't forget, if it weren't me, they'd be going after somebody else. And I know a lot of the competition, they wouldn't do so well. They wouldn't be doing so well right now. They'd be saying, Mommy, take me home. I want to go home.
I'm telling you, one of his appeals that really resonates with a lot of people is that he's just not a politician. He doesn't talk like one. He talks like a regular ball buster from New York, and a lot of people get a kick out of that shit. And remember, politics is just another form of professional wrestling. That's what it is. And Trump is Vince McMahon. That's who he is. He's a hell of an entertainer, and people dig that shit.
This is brutal, but these are sick people. And for instance, the 51 intelligence agents, who thinks of these? And they think about it just like they say, I'm guilty of, and all this information was from so many years before the election. It's before the election.
And by the way, I think a lot of Hispanic Americans, I hear from them, they're scared about what they see. What's your message to them about what happened to you and about how scared they are that our country is turning into the countries that they left behind, the corrupt, dysfunctional countries they left behind.
And they are scared, and they're great people, and very entrepreneurial, great energy. And as you know, I'm doing very well with them. I mean, beyond anybody, I don't think anybody's ever had polling.
Do you think this is why, a little bit?
I think a little bit. And they've always liked me, and I've always liked them. You know, I've done well from the beginning. In 2016, I won the entire border along Texas, and they're all like 85%. And it's been great from the beginning, and now I'm leading. I think I'm leading over this guy that can't put two sentences together that's just...
And he's not wrong about that. You know, the thing that liberals constantly talk about, which is a big deal, and I think we need to be completely fair about this, they always want to talk about how bad Trump is. And Trump is bad. But at the same time, they never want to address the elephant in the room, which is their own candidate. They only want to talk bad about Trump, and that is a losing strategy. We've seen it before. It's replaying itself again. Trump absolutely would have won re-election in 2020 if not for the pandemic, because they would have gone with the same tired trope of Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. Meanwhile, you had Hillary, and now you have Joe. You're never going to put up somebody who's worth getting behind. It's kind of like the U.S. Senate race that's going on in Michigan right now. You have Hill Harper, who is awesome, and you have Alyssa Slotkin, who is CIA terrible. And I'm not saying that as a euphemism. She really is CIA. And that is who the Democratic Party is putting their weight behind. But keep talking about how terrible the one side is, and that's what's going to get you to the finish line? No. No. Trump looks like a martyr now. How are you going to fight that off? If anything, you would think that they'd be smart enough to say, maybe this wasn't a smart move. It's not. Total political miscalculation. And it will only get worse if they keep trying to come after him with it.
Destroying our country. Look, he's the worst president in the history of this country, and he's a danger to the country.
All right. This is where the hyperbole of his bravado really gets in the way. Joe Biden is bad. He's not the worst president in the history of the country. I think Woodrow Wilson, Andrew Johnson would have a word or two regarding that. And George W. Bush.
And, you know, they have misinformation. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. It's just words. He doesn't even know what it means. But it's like their slogan, I'm a threat to democracy. I'm the opposite. They're the threat to democracy.
Was there a moment in the trial that you felt like it turned, or you saw that it was headed in a certain direction?
Well, when you object to something, your lawyers object, good lawyers, professional lawyers, good records, nice people. You know, I've had a lot of lawyers that weren't nice, and sometimes you're better off that way. These are really fine people. They'd object, not accepted, not accepted, not accepted. When the government, meaning the DA, Bragg, when he said something, all right, good, that's fine. Go ahead, more. But the main thing is this, that this was turned down by the Southern District. This is over years. This could have been brought 7 years ago. You know, they tried to rush it because they wanted it before the election. But this could have been brought 7 years ago, but they didn't have any intention. A case like this has never been brought before. And there's never been a case.
One thing that he is saying, which is correct, is that they politically calculated to do this at a time that they thought it would be the most effective against their opponent. I mean, we're just being objective here. This is a case that, in his case, in terms of when this transpired, this was from, his thing with Stormy Daniels was from what, 2011 or something like that? Anyway, the point is, it's just, to the objective eye, it looks like a political hit job. That's what it looks like. And even if there is smoke, or even if there is fire, there is something to be said for how this is being handled. And now we're going to see what the GOP is going to do, because evidently they're going to go after Hunter Biden. What they're going to do with that, I don't know. And again, another example of, well, this better have real teeth or there is no point.
case where a state has gone after a federal election. In other words, that's for like the Southern District to go.
Look, like I said, so this is Jen's social media. I just want to put this up there right now for everybody who may or may not be following her. And I am going to let everybody know this is the same for Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. So make sure you are following here. Jen for FL25 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure that you are following. Very important. And so do I think that Donald Trump can win from a jail cell? You know what? In this day and age, who the hell knows? Eugene Debs ran for president in, I want to say, 1920 from prison. And he was able to get, in 1920, I think like 2 million votes. So anything's possible.